Hey there everybody, it's Mark Crilly. I'm back with another How to Draw video. Today we're going to be learning how to draw a manga girl sketchy style. And what I've got here is a basic circle. It's about 2 inches wide. I'm going to put down some basic guidelines and then we're going to get on to the real-time illustration work. Okay, so just a quick explanation of what we've got going on here. Put the lines for the top and the bottom of each eye. And then this is, of course, the chin and the cheek. Pay attention to the sort of shape that is formed between the circle and this line, and that can help you to get that line placed properly. Okay, let's put in a couple of more guidelines. Okay, so now we've placed the eyes, the nose, and the mouth. And notice that this sort of vertical line that I put here tells you where to put the one eye, also the nose, and the one side of the mouth. And once we've got that in place, I can go ahead and start erasing those initial guidelines. Now, I hate to do yet more guideline stuff, but really what I want to focus on with this book. Am I making a book? It's a good thing I'm not making a book every Friday. That would be a lot of work. This video, oh, maybe I need more coffee. The thing I really want to focus on with this video is the technique, the sort of line work that I'm going to be doing, and that's why I'm kind of speeding through, unfortunately, this initial line placement stuff. I'm pretty sure I've got videos where I take more time and focus on the placement of facial features. So check my channel for that. Maybe I can get some links in here. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and do a few more guidelines to finish this off, and then we can finally get on with the actual illustration. Okay, so I've got the basic guidelines in place, and you can probably see that I'm going to be drawing this girl wearing earmuffs as well as a scarf. And the original line of that first circle, happily, is going to serve as a pretty nice indication of where the headband goes for these earmuffs. And I'm going to add just a few more lines here, but I'm going to be using, as I said earlier, an unusual technique with this video, and that is going to require adding color before I actually do final guidelines. It's so crazy, it just might work. So I'm adding just the irises of each eye here. She's sort of turning her head away, looking back at us. And notice that the iris of this eye is a little narrower from one side to the other than this is. That's quite a common thing that you'll see in manga illustrations. I'm going to eventually have lines above each eye for the folds of the upper eyelid. And then I suppose we can begin to indicate eyebrows here. Now, what I wanted to do is get just the very loosest of loosey-loose lines for where the hair is going to be. Like I said, we're not going for the final right now. We're just sort of figuring out, in general terms, where color is going to occur. And that's why you see me keeping this pretty light. You know, I have the idea of there being bangs across the forehead. Maybe just a little bit of the bangs coming off over here. Not coming off, flowing off in that wintry breeze. And then over here, maybe just beginning to get the suggestion of additional strands of hair that will be in that area. And that's basically about all we need to do at this stage. I'm maybe going to put a secondary line here for the scarf to kind of show that it's wrapping around itself. And I'm already starting to get a little into this sketchy zone, which is what this whole final line work technique is going to be like. I like to have a scarf, instead of it being boxy and straight, I like to have it sort of folding over itself a little bit, so we get the underside of it is flipping up, and there's going to be those tassels at the end, like so. Maybe we just see the other edge of it just a little bit. Something like that. And that'll maybe give us all we need. Eventually there's going to be, I'm going to do some detail work on her coat. But let's go ahead and do the kind of crazy idea of pulling out my kneaded eraser here. You can find this at any art store. And I'm going to just start to dab away a lot of this guideline work, which may seem slightly insane. Why did you put it down only to dab it away? Well, I need to have some sense of where I want this color to go, the color that I will be adding. And the thing with watercolor is it tends to set pencil lines into the paper, makes them unerasable. And so if you know that you're going to be going over this area with watercolor, it's probably best to do a little bit of erasing work in advance, since I don't intend this to be my final line work. And that's why I'm doing this. Someone said in an earlier video, you shouldn't do that. Why are you doing the erasing real time? We all know how to erase stuff, man. You should time-lapse through the erasing part. But that would be logical, don't you see? That would make sense. And I just don't work that way. Anyway, what I'm going to do now, and before we go any further, I want to tell you that the paper I'm using here is called Smooth Bristol. Hang on a second, I'll show you the actual company that makes it. There you go, the Strathmore Smooth Surface Bristol. And, you know, I've got people watching from all over the world. Chances are you may not be able to get this particular company, but don't worry about that. Just go to your local art store and say, do you have any Bristol board? It's thicker, it's stronger, it can hold up to the watercolor that I'm about to do right now. So there you go, Bristol. Okay, so this is where it becomes crucial to be using good thick paper. And I got water here in the dirty old cup, and a brush, and I'm just taking pure water, and I'm going to just start adding water to this section of the paper, making it very, very wet indeed. And the reason I'm doing this is I want to create a sort of a blur effect with the watercolor. I'm sort of on purpose trying to make the color flow outside of the lines a little bit. So let's see if we can make this work. I'm dropping it in there, and you can see how it just starts to sort of spill. The water is sort of carrying it across the surface of the paper so that it doesn't stay perfectly within the lines. And this is for those of you who in kindergarten, when the teacher berated you for not coloring within the lines, it's payback time. See, teacher? I'm making it go outside the lines. On purpose, dude. Now who's the artist? Anyway, this technique is something I'm pretty sure I've never tried in a video before, and it should have a nice little effect there. You can see how it sort of blurs in a way that I think is pleasing to the eye. Now I'm going back, I'm sort of washing out the blue out of the brush to get it back to that watery state. And then I'm going to continue doing pretty much the same thing here. Now, I think this is a situation where once I've got this in place, the blue of the hair, then I don't need to do the entire thing real time. You get the idea. And so I'll do the remaining colors time lapse. But I think, and some people will be happy about this, I hope, I think that I'm going to be able to do all of the line work of this video real time, pretty much all of it. And so that should be nice. Anyway, so I'm going back in, getting my blue. Ultramarine blue is what this shade is. Leans a little towards the purplish side of things. Going back in and, you know, having it roughly follow that initial circle that I put down there. But again, allowing it to be very loose. And this is going to play right along with our idea of the sketchy. Hang on, I think this is actually drying out a bit. You have to be careful to try to keep it wet. Sometimes the paper starts to dry out halfway through, and you lose that blurry line that you're going for. This whole thing is sort of an exercise in letting go, not trying to be so much in control, which is kind of a tricky thing for me. I normally like to be very precise in my work, so it's almost a challenge to to allow it to stay loose. So I think you see what I've done there, and I'm going to go ahead and in time-lapse continue adding color, some blue down here to the coat, and then we're going to go brown, use a shade of ochreish brown for the scarf and for her eyes, and that's pretty much going to be it for the coloring. So I'm going to go ahead and do that in time-lapse, then we'll be back for the final line work. Okay, so I'm done with all the watercoloring. I'm going back in here and just going to erase a little bit more. Got to make sure, of course, that you let this all dry. That requires a certain amount of patience, or you can pull out a hairdryer maybe to speed up the process. Anyway, just erasing one last time because I'm about to come in here to do the final line work, and I don't want too much of this pencil stuff to be visible underneath it. Alright, so what I'm using here is, usually I use a black Prismacolor. This time I'm using the violet blue Prismacolor. Again, I don't believe that you need to use the exact brand that I use. Just go to, your local art store and find a blue colored pencil, if indeed that's what you want to use. That you can use any color you want. So, the whole thing behind this today's video is what I call the sketchy style. And what that basically means is that instead of doing super precise lines, you try to really move very quickly and sort of dash these lines in as fast as you can. And what happens is there's a certain liveliness to the line. And, I guess it's a matter of taste. Some people might say, yeah, but boy, that looks messy to me. The thing is, though, if you're consistent and you do the entire drawing in this style of line, I think it has a kind of an appealing, loose look. And, I don't know, I'm always just trying to not repeat myself too much and do the exact same style from one video to the next. So I thought I would challenge myself to do this loose style. As I said, it goes a little bit against my instincts in terms of wanting to be precise all the time. In order to do this sketchy style, I have to let go. Only by relinquishing control will you have complete control. Anyway, I don't know. We need to take it quite as seriously as that, but yeah, it's sort of it does require you to constantly force yourself to move that pencil a little faster than you might normally want to. And so I can barely see where that original line was for the headband, or, the earmuff band, I guess we should call it. But I think I was able to get it basically where it was supposed to be. And one thing that is probably useful is to have a pencil sharpener nearby. Sometimes people, funny, they think that my pencil never gets dull, but the fact is, a lot of the time they're watching it in time-lapse when I can kind of conceal the fact that I'm periodically sharpening the pencil. I don't have a magic pencil, people. My pencil does get dull just like anyone else's. So especially with the hair, trying to keep it nice and loose. As I said, there's a sort of a funny tug of war here between those initial guidelines that you put down just to help yourself know where the color is supposed to go, and then you come back to do the final line work, and of course you can't really see those first lines, so it's a little tricky in a way. I guess it's all part of letting go, people. Today we're just letting go. We're not going to obsess. We're just going to go with the flow, man. So, I don't know why I decided to try to keep this all. I thought just because it's so loose and I can't labor over these lines, I thought here's my chance to do all real time in a video. And as I said, I fear sometimes that when I do all real time, it becomes a little boring. I just jabber on and on and on. But I am sort of tightening up a little bit around the eyes, I must confess. I can't dash these lines in quite as quickly as I was doing the hair. I just feel like so much depends on the eyes. And I'm going to use this little white area here as my highlight. Those of you who are into drawing eyes, manga-style eyes, have probably noticed that there generally is some sort of a highlight. And I'm going to probably get a secondary highlight down at the bottom. But I'm going to be doing one final thing with my trusty white gouache. That doesn't roll off the tongue like the trusty black Prismacolor, but I am going to be pulling out my white gouache paint at the end of this process. You can see, though, that even though I'm tightening up a little, I am trying to sort of maintain this dashy quality, you know, that I'm not slowly moving the pencil across the page, because that kills the liveliness of the line. So it's an interesting kind of trade-off. And like I said, the color, you're allowing the color sometimes to go outside the line. I don't know if you can see. In fact, let me just go, I'll zoom in so that you can see this. Hang on. So by zooming in, hopefully you can see that the brown of the eyes is actually sort of spilling outside of those lines, and that's not a problem. In fact, that's something that you sort of embrace when you're using this style. I know, it's funny because it does sort of go against everything you've been taught. Oh, the color should never go outside of the lines. That shows that you're not professional or whatever. But in this case, you're sort of, it's like an illustrator's technique, and you're sort of deliberately allowing it to go outside the lines. I'm going to go ahead and get the eyebrows in here. I confess I cannot even see where those original eyebrow lines were. I'm just sort of guessing a bit here. Hopefully I've got them where I need them to be. Not too high above. And then, yeah, you just sort of make adjustments as you go along. But you can almost hear in the sound of my pencil when I'm doing these lines how quickly I'm doing it. And that is, it really is, it's a loss of control. There's no way you can completely be sure of where the line's going to go when you're moving the pencil that fast. So anyway, some of you may enjoy this look, and if so, challenge yourselves to try this loose style. In fact, for some of you, the loose style may come naturally to you. This may be your natural style, and you've been drawing this way for years, and it's not a challenge for you. It's like, this is, yeah, that's the way I always draw. In which case, hats off to you. It's I think, an appealing looking style. And let me know what you think of it. I can do more videos in this style. Oh, you know what I'm forgetting about her? The side strands of hair. A little odd because there's not any color in that area, but hopefully I will be forgiven by the anime police. Going in and doing the lines of the earmuffs, keeping it very sort of fuzzy and loose. And now it's time to come down to the scarf. I can see just enough of what was there before, I think, to sort of get these lines. Now, this happens a lot with, like, when I'm doing the eyes, right, I sort of get more careful and try to get more precise. When I come down to something like the scarf, I always feel, okay, here's my chance to cut loose and not worry so much about where the lines go. So this is where you might be able to sort of go really fast and just dash something in there. And, you know, people who are into art, especially fine art, they can recognize these really loose lines that you just tossed in there. And there's something bold about that, and people will even admire, boy, I love your loose line work, you know, because it kind of takes guts in a way to just throw that line in there. And, you know, heaven knows you can get it in the wrong place, and then it doesn't look that great, and then you're like, oh, why did Crilly trick me into attempting this style? I will never watch his videos again. Anyway, but yeah, you can see when you get down to the scarf area, the scarfal region, that you may feel more free to really loosen up. as I'm attempting to do right here. Oh, you know what? I forgot that I had zoomed in. Let me pull back so you can see the whole thing. So yeah, you can see it just has a very different look from what you normally see me do, and hopefully some people will, you know, even see the thumbnail of this and be, wow, that doesn't even look like it was done by Crilly. I thought that he always used this tight, detailed style. And I have always enjoyed breaking out of the box that people will attempt to put me into, or, you know, not just me, any artist. People, you know, until you show them that you're capable of doing a different style, they will assume that the thing they've seen you do is the only thing that you're able to do. So, do let me know if you like this style. I'd be happy to try to do more videos like this. These tassels, of course, lend themselves to quick little strokes of the pencil. I wanted to have, like, if this is the underside that's coming up towards us, you sort of imagine that it curves around, right? And then you'd see the other tassels, just a hint of them back there. And I imagine she's wearing some sort of winter jacket, so I'm going to get a little V shape in there, and then get the lapels. It's kind of fun to not have any color that you're responding to in a way. You can put these lines anywhere you want because the color is so amorphous, you know, it's you're not bound by anything. And now that I've got some of these basic lines in place, I think now it becomes a matter of deciding, well, where are you going to tighten things up? I mean, some of you may say, all right, you're done, man. That looks good to me right now. You don't need to do any more. And to be sure, maybe it is advisable to stop at this point, but I feel like it could be enhanced with a few more things. Like, for example, some sort of pattern on the scarf. Okay, so I imagine that this scarf is wrapping over itself in two areas. And so what I'm going to do is do a sort of a loose diagonally band, diagonalish. Do these sort of diagonal little bands of blue lines to help suggest that there's a pattern on this scarf. I gotta say, it's very liberating to use this style, because it's like you no longer have to worry about being super careful. You're just like, you know, look, I'm being messy on purpose, man. If it looks messy to you, then you just don't get it, man. You don't understand me. Anyway, I'm gonna get in a little bit of shading here underneath. I feel very sort of cautious at this stage because you definitely don't want to overdo it. Yeah, sharpening. Gonna get in, yeah, let's start down here. Let's say that this is where I'm going to do my little diagonalish pattern. And you do, even if though you're being loose, you want to sort of make sense of like what. So this is curving around. You sort of look at the distance between there, and this is where you would probably have the, right, this is curving along, coming up like that. I think if you pay attention to things like this, you are rewarded with a little more sense of realism, possibly. And then I'm going to go ahead and darken in the pupils a little, not all the way. And that might be it. I'll tell you what, folks. Since I have done this mainly real time, I may allow myself just a little bit of... You know what, my feeling is that because this is dark here, we got this dark blue, that this illustration needs a little bit of balance in terms of there being more dark blue. So I'm going to go ahead and go in here, keeping it quick, and get just a few areas, like with this band, the band of the earmuffs, I think could be a good place to get some darker blue. Then, to me, that's going to balance things out a bit. How about if we make the tassels a little dark? This is just an art thing where, you know, if you've got a color or a darkness in just one area of the illustration, you may want to consider trying to find other areas to sort of balance it out. And that, my friends, might be it. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take a moment of just taking a break and giving myself some time to live with this for a second before declaring it finished, because there may be a few final little touches. Okay, so I feel like I'm more or less done with the pencil line work, and I'm pulling out my trusty white gouache, and I'm going to add some white highlights here. Again, hopefully I can do almost all of this in real time, and this is one where really I have to remember less is more. I'm not going to go crazy with adding highlights everywhere, but I'm adding a little white here on the hairband, the earmuff band, I guess I should say. And most importantly, I think, are these little white highlights on the eyes. In fact, I'm going to add a few more than I normally do. I'm going to get a second one next to the main highlight. And then over here, just drop in a sort of reflected light thing like that. And hopefully that's showing up. That might be all that I need. Oh, wait, I want to do some across the hair. So I'm gonna do, as so often I do when it comes to highlights, this sort of a single band of white highlights that goes right across the bangs in a semicircular, is that the right word? Sort of continues across that way, and I find that that's a very simple, elegant way of, because, you know, when you get into trying to do all of these fancy hair highlights, you can very quickly get lost as to where they belong. But this, I see a lot of manga artists just settle on a single band like this. It tends to look pretty good. And I think maybe just a touch across the ponytail there. Of course, longtime viewers will be like, again with the ponytail? Crowley, man. Not every girl has a ponytail. Alright? Gosh. I don't know if guys from Brooklyn say gosh. Gosh! Anyway, there is, of course, one last thing that needs to be done, and that is the blushies. There will be blushies on a character like this. Of course, she's outside. It's Christmas time, and we got to get those appley cheeks going on there. I don't want to overdo it, though. So, oh, a great sigh of relief among all the blushy fans out there. There is one final thing that I want to add here, and what I'm gonna do is do this in time lapse. But those of you who are into Japanese, who've been studying the Japanese language, you may enjoy seeing "Merry Christmas" written in Japanese. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this in time lapse, and I'll be right back. Alright, well, there's my little Christmas greeting for you. Merry Christmas, as the Japanese would say. I really do hope you all have a wonderful holiday, and I thought I would take a moment to continue my new tradition of thanking, doing little shout-outs to certain YouTube viewers. Molly Sturgill, she is a big supporter of me on Twitter. Again, always there for the comments, the retweets, the encouragement. Marina Grubik, I hope I'm saying that name right. Also, someone very engaged here on YouTube. And finally, Soul Elijah, who complimented me for my voice acting in last week's video. I wonder, was he talking about my old lady voice, perhaps? Probably not. But I want to thank anyone who was supporting me these days by getting any of my books. We got Miki Falls and Brody's Ghost, my 2 graphic novel series, as well as Mastering Manga 1 and 2. This is, of course, Mastering Manga 2. And also, Mastering Manga in Korean, available in South Korea. Greatly appreciate anyone who supports me by getting any of those books, or just watching the videos, subscribing, leaving comments, all that good stuff. But let me go ahead and lay down this pencil. I want to thank you all for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll be back with another one real soon.